Hi everyone, Jill here. Welcome back to my kitchen. It's another day of baking and experimenting. So I make bagels often. Today I'm going to make a Bialys, not exactly sure the pronunciation, but it's similar to a bagel without some of the steps. And instead of having that full circle like the bagel does, this just kind of has a divot that you can fill with all sorts of loveliness. And so I'm going to be caramelizing some onions. I'm going to be doing some goat cheese and some prosciutto in it. So it's kind of like a glorified bagel to my understanding, but let's hop in the kitchen and start making the dough. All right, so what you are going to need to make the dough is some sort of bowl, your digital kitchen scale. You are going to need an active sourdough starter. If you don't have a sourdough starter, you can snag ours down in the description below. You're gonna need some filtered water, some all-purpose flour, and of course, some good quality salt. So we're gonna add all this into the bowl, mix it together, and make the dough. Once you've mixed all your ingredients together, you're just gonna throw a damp towel on it and let it sit for about 45 minutes to an hour. After that mark, you're going to, flour your working surface, just roll it into a tight ball. It's gonna go back in your bowl with the towel back on it, and then you're just gonna let it do its bulk rise, its resting period for about 12 to 18 hours. Hello everyone, welcome back to day 2 of making our Bialys? Anyways, however you say it. I let my dough rise overnight on the counter, if you guys remember. And you can see here that this dough has certainly doubled. It's literally at the top of my bowl right now, so this is perfect. What you're gonna do is get your baking sheet, line it with some parchment paper, and then lightly flour like you've seen me do here. And then we're just gonna set this aside and come back to this in a minute. But what we are going to do is flour our surface, and we're gonna dump this dough out, and then we're gonna divide it. You want it to be about 75 grams each, which is equivalent to about 12 pieces. I'm not gonna weigh mine. I'm just gonna throw the dough out on a floured surface and just try to cut until I get about 12. Now we are going to roll these, and essentially what I'm doing is just bringing in all of the corners like this. You guys can see there. I'm rolling it into a ball. Alrighty, here we have a nice little uniform ball. You're gonna put this on your baking sheet with that floured parchment paper and continue the process. So I have these on here. I'm just gonna take a damp towel, lay it over the top, much like anything else that you're letting rise, and I'm gonna let it rise for about an hour. It will have become puffy. They may not have doubled in size, and that's totally fine, but they will have grown a little bit during this second rise. All right, so while your dough is rising, this is a great opportunity to go ahead and prepare some of your fillings. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm using a Tuscan herb. I love using different oils when it comes to bread baking because it really kind of infuses in the dough, and I think this is going to be really, really delightful. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of that. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of unsalted butter. If you only have salted butter, that's fine. Just omit the additional salt and pepper, or the additional salt in the end. Throw that in my skillet. So once you have your oil and butter in the pan, you are going to chop up a large onion. I'm using a yellow onion. You could use a red onion. Really just kind of figure out what's going to play well with the other ingredients that you plan on adding. I'm doing some prosciutto and a little bit of goat cheese, so I think this is going to be great. And then I'm going to add a few sprigs of thyme. You could again use a different herb if you want. And then we're going to saute it until it's translucent, but you don't want to yet caramelize it because we're just kind of doing the prep work here. And then we're going to set this aside and we'll finish caramelizing the onions here in a little while. Your onions are nice and translucent, go ahead and just move them off of the heat, and then you'll just let them cool until your dough is ready. Now your dough is finished resting. I just took some flour and kind of sprinkled over the top to make it a little bit easier to work with. If you notice it's getting really sticky on you, just add some more flour. But I'm going to take a couple of my fingers and make some indentions and kind of pull the dough a bit, if you will. The idea is to kind of create this little hollow in there. That way we can put all these fillings in and then bake them. fun stuff. That onion and thyme that I caramelized on the skillet's gonna go in there. I've got some crumbled up goat cheese. We chopped up that prosciutto. I'm gonna add a couple pumpkin seeds on the top for just a little bit of a crunch. And then I'm gonna kind of drizzle the outside with some poppy seeds. They are a much easier version than a bagel. You can really dress them up. You can be super, super festive. I even thought playing around with the dessert version of this, kind of like an apple cider. A play on an apple cider would be so good with some fresh cinnamon. So just know this is a really good, easy, tweakable recipe that you can make for the holidays. Alright, first I put the onions. They will caramelize even more as you put them in the oven. Same with the prosciutto. The prosciutto is raw because I knew it would kind of crisp up a bit when I got it in the oven. All right, now I'm gonna add the goat cheese. All right, friends, here we have our delicious Bialys, doesn't matter. They smell absolutely phenomenal. You guys, this is the perfect thing to serve for your family get together, for holidays, for whatever. The smell on here between the goat cheese and the caramelized onions and the thyme, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I am very, very impressed with these. They look absolutely stunning. So I hope that you guys will give this recipe a try for your holiday get-togethers. But thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.